Hello, hello, ladies. Happy Monday. We are here. I always say hi, ladies. I always say hello, ladies, because I usually am talking to my Keto Bikini Academy ladies when I do videos for weekly feedback. But you know what? Most of my audience here on YouTube, publicly even, is ladies. So, hello, ladies. If you're not familiar with me, it's Coach Nat, the Keto Bikini Pro, without a pump today because I did not get my shoulder day in today. I am flying down to ATL tomorrow for Thanksgiving and for Coach Mary Grace, my assistant coach, first competition. She is getting on stage December 6th. We are 2 weeks out, inside 2 weeks out. So I will be down in Georgia for almost 2 weeks, spend the holiday with the family, and then go see Coach Mary Grace get on stage. Cannot wait. I'm so excited. So let's chat holidays tonight. I thought it would be a perfect time. Usually every year I do a holiday pep talk, and typically it's after Thanksgiving as we're getting closer to Christmas and New Year's, and I am giving you a pep talk to get you through the holidays, even if you've already fallen off here and there, over Thanksgiving and the early part of the holidays. Trying to keep you from going all the way off the rails and sticking to your goals and being able to make it to New Year's without having to start all over in the new year. I will probably do that again this year sometime in December, but I thought instead of waiting and doing a holiday pep talk halfway in, let's do a holiday prep talk. We're a few days before Thanksgiving, so it's still time. If you're catching this live or if you're seeing the replay in the first few days, it is out. There is still time to make your plan for Thanksgiving. It is not too late, even if you've already purchased things. So I want to talk about planning for any special event, really. You can use this video and all the tips that I give you here for, as I was even writing the notes, because I actually have notes this week. I haven't had a lot of notes lately, but this week I have notes because there were some things I wanted to make sure I covered. I'm also going to share my screen and show you a resource that I share inside the Keto Bikini Academy for our ladies, and I'm going to walk you through and talk you through how to use that resource. If you're in the KBA, you may be familiar with this resource. It is called the Personal Food Plan Template. So look forward to that coming up in a bit. So we'll actually talk about the practical planning part, the getting ahead of it, the making a plan, planning in advance, prepping for the holidays before you need a pep talk to get you through the rest of the holidays. If you plan appropriately and you execute your plan, you won't have to worry about getting back on the wagon or starting back over later. So let's see. First, let me just say hello to some folks on here live with me. Julian is on. Woo woo, Juju B. Good to have you back on the live. Karen, Bubbles Has Rules is on. Celeste is on. My Beef Balanced Life. I love it. Happy holidays to you too, love. Ashley is on. Ashley, I did get your message. Welcome back to the Academy. I'm so excited to have you back with us. I will shoot you a note back later tonight or early in the morning. I promise I'm not ignoring you. I'm so happy to have you back. It was such a wonderful, happy surprise for me today. So, Lori is on. Upstate Keto Girl. Shout out. What is up? All right. So let's see. As usual, we're going to get into the mindset stuff first because that's what it really is all about. Oh, I was saying something and I was trying to remember where I was going with that. Deb. Hey, Deb. Nelson is on. Hey. And look at me. We're talking about planning, and this is poor planning right here. Shout out to Keto Chow, by the way. I'll be dropping their deals, by the way, their Black Friday deals. I believe I have to wait until Wednesday to share those with you, but I have some new products that are dropping with the Black Friday deals that I am getting ready to share with you. So I'll be filming some stuff and posting about that on Wednesday. For those of you who were on my holiday gift guide video last week, and if you were not and you want to know all my favorite products and all the deals, go check out last week's video. It was my holiday gift guide and special deals live chat. And I have a document that has been a working document. I have added a lot more things to it. It was in the description of last week's video. I'll be posting that in the Facebook group for those of you who are in the Facebook group, and of course, in the Academy. I think I've already posted it, but I will give you a reminder about that. Oh, I made the mistake again, didn't I? That I did not make this live limited to subscribers. I always forget about that, and I don't know if I can do it once we are already live. Guests, no. General. Darn it. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to troubleshoot as I'm on here, else I'll be having to delete a whole lot of comments and kick people out. I don't know if I have that setting here. So we'll keep rolling with it and we'll see what happens. If we got to boot them, we'll boot them. All right. Oh, I was saying, look at me, poor planning, because look at how much water I have left in here. I know I'm going to have to get up in just a minute and go refill this. Poor planning on my part. Okay. Oh, snap. Celeste is doing cardio. OMG, she says, I'm doing my first cardio this cut while watching you. Woo, woo. I'm glad I can be here to help you get through the cardio. All right, let's see. Oops, no, don't want to do that. Let me just check one more thing here. I'm not seeing all of my settings. Let's see. I might have to do it in YouTube and not live stream. I mean, StreamYard. Bear with me for a second, y'all. Manage. Sorry, y'all. I'm such a newbie when it comes to some of these things. On the socials. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can change anything here. All right, I can't figure it out right now, so never mind. I'm going to have Bronson teach me how to do some YouTube stuff going forward. Yeah, we have a lot more stuff today than usual. Oh, Juliana, if I knew how to make you a mod, I don't know how to do anything on YouTube. I'm using StreamYard to do this, so I don't know how to go to YouTube and do things there when I'm doing this in StreamYard. So I need y'all to teach me these things. One of these days I'll know what I'm doing. I don't know if I can go in there and change things while I'm on a live. Let's see. If it's not super user friendly, like it shows me right then and there, then I'm not gonna know how to do it. I need like technology for dummies. Okay. Well, we'll just roll with it and see how this whole thing goes. Sorry for the little delay there, y'all. Every week when this happens, which doesn't happen very often, honestly, I'm like, oh, I need to figure that out later. And then I never go back to figure it out later. So we'll put that on the list and actually get it done so I can act like a YouTube professional. All right, folks. So let's get into the topic of the night, creating your plan for the holidays. All right. So Miss Juliana actually does something that I love, that I may have talked about this at some point somewhere along the line. I think it was one of our Grace and Grind challenges, which, by the way, for anybody who may not be familiar, we do a Grace and Grind New Year's challenge every January. We will be bringing it back again in January 2026. I believe it was one of those where I was talking about how many opportunities we get throughout the holidays. This may have been on last year's holiday pep talk as well. How many opportunities we get, not just throughout the holidays, but throughout the entire year, to indulge, to go off of our plan, to skip our workout, to basically not do the things that we have committed to do to achieve the goals we are trying to achieve at any given time of the year, right? It's like the same thing we hear all the time when people are saying, oh, I'll join that program. And you all ladies, my KBA ladies may have some friends who've talked about joining you in the KBA, and they're like, well, now's not a good time. I'll join after this. I'll join after that. We have this wedding coming up. We have this graduation coming up. We have schools, back to school is coming up. Holidays are coming up. There's always something, right? So when we find ourselves just having a little bit of this, just having a little bit of that, oh, it's just this time. Oh, it's just every once in a while. Oh, it's a holiday. Oh, it's a birthday. Oh, it's a special occasion. There are so many special occasions that if you added up every single special occasion in your entire year, you would be shocked how many times you justified doing something unhealthy that took you away from the goal, and at the end of the year, you would know why you haven't reached your goals yet. So this is what Juliana did for this holiday season. She had her, 60 days or 90 days? You were like, this is my 60 days out. How many opportunities there are going to be? How many special events are coming up between now and New Year's? And here's my plan for each of them. So I preface this with, as we get into how to create your plan, hers was 90 days. As we get into how to create your plan, I want you to be thinking that you can utilize this any time of the year. It doesn't just have to be the November, December holidays. This can be for the entire year. You could do this when we do get into January, you could do this for the entire year of 2026. You could chunk it out into 90-day portions, into 30 days, just every month at the beginning of each month or at the end of each month, look ahead at the next 30 days and say, what's coming up? What could get in my way? This is a little bit of what we do every week in our check-ins in the academy. What could get in your way? We're going to talk a lot about that tonight. That's going to be a part of the plan, because the plan is not just here's what I'm committing to, here's the plan. It's reflection on the plan. It's imagining what could happen and what could take you off the plan and preparing for that. Ultimately, I was going to say this later, but I want to actually start with this part. The most powerful part of this process is committed awareness. What matters even more, what's more important than even whatever you write on that plan, is the value. What's more valuable, actually, than everything you put down in that plan is your commitment to being present and making conscious choices in the moment that align with who you want to be and how you want to show up. I like to say that instead of align with your goals, because goals is so arbitrary. We use the term goals so much that we are no longer connected to what our goal actually is. So let's dive into the first part of this, which is mindset, intentions, awareness. I have 3 things I want you to consider before you write the plan. And this is kind of prefacing the plan template that I'm going to show you in a bit. Then you're going to create your plan. We're going to walk through creating the plan. And first, we're going to talk about the food plan, but then we're also going to talk about the people plan, the social plan, because that's another aspect, and that will play in a lot to that question about what could get in your way. 9 times out of 10, it'll either be the food or it'll be the people. So let's see. Okay. And then I'm going to leave you with a nice profound thought to noodle on at the end, as I usually like to. Okay. So first things first, mindset, intentions, awareness. Consider these things before you make your plan for each holiday gathering or for the holidays in general, or your time frame, whatever your time frame is. Number 1, the plan should be guided by your why. It is your plan, so you have to own it. If you do not feel ownership over the plan, you will not adhere to your own plan, and you will walk away from whatever holiday gathering, whatever it was that you did, that you will feel regret, you will feel feelings of failure, you will feel possibly ashamed, embarrassed, not proud of yourself. But your plan is yours, so own it. The plan should be guided by your why, the decisions for what you intend to do. That's what a plan is, right? A plan is, here are my intentions stated plainly. So your decisions for what you plan to do, you intend to do, should be guided by your why. If you cannot answer why you are making the plan that you're making, it is not going to work, because it is not going to be the right plan for you. You will not stick to the plan if you're not bought into it. So for each thing, and when we get to it, I guarantee y'all, one of the biggest issues I see in this space, especially in the keto carnivore space, is setting rules for yourself, setting rules as your plan that are arbitrary. They were set by somebody else. They were somebody's definition of what carnivore or keto should be. Or you do it because it's keto or because it's carnivore without thinking, well, wait a minute, pause, take a step back. Why am I eating this way in the first place? Why am I choosing to eat keto? Why am I choosing to eat carnivore? Because those reasons why are what should determine what your individual detailed boundaries and allowances. Essentially what this plan, what the food plan itself is, it's all about creating boundaries and allowances. What will I allow? What will I not allow? What are the boundaries I'm putting in place? Those should not be dictated by some diet label or some influencer or guru or even coach. Your rules for your plan, your boundaries in your plan should not be based on what Coach Nat would say or what Coach Nat would do or what Coach Nat would tell you. Why are you following your intended way of eating? And choosing to follow it or not follow it in whatever ways you're choosing to not follow it or not follow it on this particular holiday need to be guided by a why. If you cannot answer that, then why are you putting it in the plan? Doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't go in the plan if you cannot state clearly, this is why I'm making this choice. This is why I'm making this decision for the plan for myself. So, and this, I want to use this comment from Karen because she says, I no longer have the desire to eat off plan. My special occasions, I indulge in upgraded proteins I can't afford on a regular basis. I love that. First of all, I think that's a beautiful, inspiring way to think about it, right? What would I not normally spend my money on that I want to spend my money on because it's a special occasion? But the concept, I've talked about this in a video before, I can't remember which one, but the concept of on plan and off plan, right? What is the plan is the question, right? For Karen, her on plan and off plan eating might look different than somebody else's eating on or off plan. Why? Because it's her plan. That's Karen's plan. Karen's plan doesn't dictate Natalie's plan and vice versa. So the plan is not based on the carnivore gods telling you what carnivore is, and that's what determines your plan, right? Your plan does not mean somebody decided on some definition of keto and that's what your plan is. And if you don't eat that way, you're eating off plan. Okay, this is what I mean by you own the plan, right? So the plan should not be dictated by diet rules, labels, or what somebody else tells you to do or influences you to do. And this is a big one, right? Because I've heard a lot of chatter lately with this whole, a lot of people leaving carnivore, adding carbs back in. There's this little like voice that comes in for a lot of folks who still struggle with sugar cravings and difficulty being able to moderate sugar, carbs, all kinds of different foods. And because somebody else is adding back in quote unquote carbs without definitions of exactly what they added back in, all of a sudden I see a lot of people making justifications for, oh, I decided it would probably be a good idea to have some carbs. And what you mean by carbs is cookies and pie. Cookies and pie are not carbs. Cookies and pie may have carbs in them, but they also have fat in them. And depending on where you're getting them from, they could have all kinds of other crap in them. So I digress. Had to say that. Just remember, it's your plan, it's your call. If it doesn't mean something to you, you will not adhere to it. So what's the point of making the plan? Right? You're not making the plan to make me proud. You're making the plan to make you proud. So that's number one. It's your plan. Own it. We're going to get into that in a little bit with a way of how you can determine whether this plan is right for you or not, based on your level of confidence with it. So After you write the first draft of your plan, here it is. Oh, I said we were going to get into it a little bit. We're getting into it right now. So number one, own your plan. It's yours, own it. It should be guided by your why. Number two, after you write the first draft of the whole plan, review it and ask yourself, how confident am I that I will execute this plan 100% to a T? Give yourself a confidence rating from 0 to 100. If you feel even the slightest inkling of doubt, if your confidence rating is at 99%, you're not there yet. Until you can review your plan, read your plan, and feel 100% confident in your ability to execute it, it is not your plan. And something in there needs to change, or you need to go back to your motivations for why you are creating this plan, because once again, nobody's writing it for you. These are your decisions. You need to ask yourself, what part of my plan is giving me pause? Why? Why do I feel less than 100% confident that I can execute this? What part of the plan is it? What boundary did I set that makes me go, ooh, I'm putting that down, but I don't really believe it. And I'm probably not really going to adhere to it, because that's what that is. That little inkling of doubt, that is your signal that you're committing to something you don't truly intend to do. And y'all, I catch this all the time in check-ins. I've said this before. The language. I always talk about the language and how important our language is. I used to call y'all out more in the academy for your action plans. I may have to start doing that again. In the action plan, when you say something like, I need to ... follow my macros this week. I need to get to the gym 3 times this week, whatever it might be. Whenever you say I need to, that is you not saying I'm going to. You're not committing to it. That's non-committal language. It's like saying, well, I know I should, but I don't really have any intention of doing that. So this is what the power of writing things down is, because when you can come back and reread it, you can find these language things. You can find, if you're reading through it and you get a gut, visceral response of, BS, I'm not doing that. I said I was going to do it because it sounds good, but I'm not really going to do that. I'll, ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Be aware of those things. So reflect over that plan and say, okay, what part gives me pause and why? And why did I select that particular boundary then? If I don't think I can follow through with it, determine if the plan needs to change or if you need to connect deeper to that why and commit to that boundary because it really matters to you. This is why we say you have to start with the why. Because let's say your plan is that everything's going to be carnivore. Whatever I do, it's all going to be carnivore. Meaning, I'm only going to eat animal-based foods that come from an animal, and maybe that might include dairy for many of you. Let's say you're like, if it didn't have a mother, or it didn't come from something with a mother, I'm not eating it, period. That's my boundary. And immediately your mind goes to the pecans or the pecan pie or the sweet potato pie that grandma makes. And you only see grandma every 5 years and she's 92 and you don't know if she's going to make it to the next Thanksgiving. And you're thinking about grandma's pecan pie and that's what's giving you pause. Then maybe a conditional goes into your plan. We're going to get into that in a little bit of what the different categories of the plan is. Maybe you put a condition in there that when you read that condition, except for 1 slice of grandma's pecan pie. Now I feel like I can stick to that no matter what. I have no more doubts. Now your plan is solid. That's just one example. Now, if you were, let's say you're allergic to pecans, and no matter how good grandma's pecan pie smells, you will go into anaphylactic shock if you consume it. And that's your why for putting absolutely no indulgence of grandma's pecan pie on your plan. Well, that's reconnecting to your why and saying, you know what? I love you, grandma, but I'm not going to die for you so I can eat a few bites of something tasty. That's the difference there, right? A celiac would make a different plan maybe than somebody who's not celiac. It may even include not eating carnivore foods that may have cross-contamination, because to them it's not worth it for what might happen to them if they come in contact with anything that may have come in contact with gluten. So it goes deeper than keto or carnivore rules. By the way, keto and carnivore rules are very subjective in and of themselves. We all know that. Different people do it in different ways and create different definitions of those things. Oh no, we let more riffraff in. Should I put this one in timeout, ladies, or you think I should let it slide? I think I'll let him stay. Okay. So, next step of your plan. He just heard that. Next step of your plan is sleep on it. Give it a night. Come back to it the next day, reread it, and then ask yourself, does it still feel like 100% confidence that I can execute my plan? If that answer is a yes, you've got your plan. Go forth. And then we get to step number 3. This is what I alluded to earlier. Prepare for execution. Imagine everything that could go wrong, that could take you off that plan, every obstacle that could get in your way. Put yourself into that scene, into the scenario. Imagine it as if it were real. Imagine how you will feel in that moment when you're trying to stick to your plan and you're faced with that obstacle. How will you overcome that emotion? What will you do? How will you handle it? Create some practical steps that you can take no matter what obstacle that you could possibly foresee comes up. Now you have multiple options at the ready. If I get pushback from mom for not eating her special thing, how is that going to feel? How am I going to respond to her? Imagine every opportunity that could take you off plan. Reflect on it. Make a plan for those situations. This sounds like a lot of work, but guess what, y'all? Getting ahead of it is everything. Like I said, the most powerful part of this process is committed awareness, committing to being aware in the moment. I had an incredible binge eating recovery coach years back. There was a term she used that I will never forget. I use it a lot. Present moment choices. Most of the poor decisions we make on our holidays and family gatherings, and social events, whatever time of year it is, where we are faced with temptations and we are faced with food pushers and opinions and heightened emotions, peer pressure, all those things. Most of the time, what sends us off plan is not being present, not having conscious awareness of what is happening and what we are doing and why we are doing it. We let ourselves zone out or numb out or forget our plan. But if you're taking the time to write out a detailed plan, and then you're imagining all of the potential obstacles in your way and you're making a plan of action to address those obstacles, you have now put yourself so much into the driver's seat, into that conscious awareness, that you now do not have that excuse of, oh, I forgot that I wasn't going to eat this on this day. You cannot forget if you're putting it consciously in the front of your mind. And what I would say is you're going to review this plan multiple times until you're confident with it at 100% confidence. And you are going to reflect on it multiple times before you go into that scenario. So if you go into that scenario and you end up going off plan, you did not end up going off plan. You chose consciously. And you are going to own that choice as well. And then you are going to own up to it with yourself and maybe with your coach if you have one afterwards. And you are going to say, this was my plan. This is what I did. This is why I did it. And I'm taking full responsibility for that. And you're going to connect it back to your why. The reason why I made this plan was because I have XYZ goal, or I'm trying to heal XYZ health condition. And after I made this choice, this is what happened. This is how it's maybe negatively affecting those goals. And I am fully taking responsibility for that and recognizing that I may have set myself back a few days or a few weeks. And I'm owning that. And then I will be able to take this experience moving forward to the next opportunity that I have. And I will be able to reflect on what happened this time, and then I can make a better decision for myself next time. Ooh, here's a good one we can use here. So Juliana says, I can execute my plan as I wrote in KBA, but I, quote, always fail because of one bite of dessert or one of the kids' chips, even though I have pork rinds or homemade cheese crackers. Is a certain level of guilt good to move one forward versus adding in a 2 or 3 bite caveat to execute at 100%? Thoughts? Okay, so here's my question to you. If you always fail by eating a bite of dessert that you intended not to eat, or chips you intended not to eat, or anything else you intended not to eat, the question is, why were you eating things you intended not to eat? When you made the intention to not have those things, what happened in that moment that you allowed yourself to justify those choices? And are you willing to allow that into the plan? Does it belong in the plan? Does that feel right to you for bites of chips and desserts to be in the plan or not, based on your criteria for why you're putting things in or out of your plan? That's first, right? This is why we start with the why. Why does it matter to me to not eat the dessert or to eat the dessert? I would rather you have a solid reason for either eating it or not eating it than to make a plan and then not stick to it. So reflect on that. Let me know your thoughts on that. We can go back and forth. That's why I wanted to do this live, to show y'all that template and actually talk about these things so I can help y'all workshop through using the template to create your plan. Rhonda, my girl Rhonda is here. It is so good to see your name pop up. Hello, darling. I have missed you. She says, been there, done that, not making that mistake again. I love it. All right. Well, that's what I'm here to do, to help you not make that mistake again. So, okay. So you just helped me answer to give you my thoughts on your first question, Juliana. She says, there's nothing special about it, just cause, and that's a terrible reason. I would agree. That is a terrible reason. So If you can't answer for yourself a reason why those things should be in your plan, then they need to not be in your plan. And now you need to tell me, why should they not be in your plan? And then if you have a reason why they should not be in your plan, that they do not belong in your plan, then it's more about the conscious awareness in the moment and the commitment to your plan that needs to change, not the plan itself. And that is where the tough love comes in. This is where we have to truly be honest with ourselves here in both regards, because sometimes there will be a decision that makes sense to allow an indulgence into our plan, and we put that into the conditionals. In some instances, it absolutely does not. And I'm going to give you some more examples as we get into the template. So let's get into the template, the how to create a practical, actionable plan that is personal to you and your goals and your needs. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and that's good timing. I'm going to go grab my water. I'm going to pull this up and share the screen so you guys can see this. I think I'm going to need to change the view to make it a little smaller so it'll fit into the screen. Okay. Share screen. Personal food plan. Okay. There we go. And it's up there so I can see it. All right, I'm going to let y'all take a peek at that for a bit. Is there anything down here? Okay, nothing special. Okay, and I'm going to grab some more hydration. Okie dokie. This is going to be the end of my water for the day. Proud of myself for drinking my water today. All right. Amanda says this is her favorite tool. Yes, indeed. Okay, so first I have to give credit where credit is due. Down here at the bottom, I have given credit on here as well. This was adapted from Dr. Glenn Livingston's Never Binge Again food plan template. I cannot remember if he actually had this in his book. That is a book that I recommend often. In fact, if you check out that holiday gift list and deals document I created last week, you will see my Amazon book lists, and Glenn Livingston, Dr. Glenn Livingston's Never Binge Again book is on there. Highly, highly recommend it, not just for binge eaters or anyone who's actually been diagnosed with an eating disorder, but I highly recommend that book to anyone who has struggled with your relationship with food and still does, and deals with overeating, deals with not sticking to the plan. Because while he calls it binging, and he uses very harsh, finite words like never and always, as you see on here, he does that for a reason. And it is because this limbic brain, this survival brain, it is not operating in the prefrontal cortex. It's a different part of the brain. The prefrontal cortex is where our logic and our reason live. This is where we make conscious decisions that make sense for our lives and our goals. Back here, this survival brain is like a toddler. It is like a little child. It does not reason like an adult. And it throws temper tantrums, and it tries to get its way, and it tries to justify everything, and it gets emotional, and it spirals. So when we use words like never and always, and we make solid lines, which is what this is, solid lines, it creates really clear boundaries so that us, where we live up here in our prefrontal cortex, we can recognize when the limbic brain is trying to get us to do something that we should not be doing. because it doesn't align with what we want to be doing, who we want to be, how we want to show up. So I added some of my own language in here, kind of adapted this from Dr. Livingston's version. I like to call nevers my non-negotiables. These are things that really at this stage of my journey, I don't even have to think about. But once upon a time, it had to be a non-negotiable because I needed a hard boundary in place so that I would not overindulge in something that I had a very difficult time stopping at just one, right? So there would have been a time where in my non-negotiables, there would be certain foods that nowadays I can put in conditionals. So let's talk about the easier ones first. Always and unrestricted. I think these are the easier columns to complete. And then the never column can actually be quite simple to complete as well. The trickiest one is going to be the conditionals. So quickly, let's just go through, for example, always. What will you always do regarding food, drink, and food behaviors? So this doesn't just have to be for foods itself. This can be behaviors with food, for example. So some of the things I might put in the always column are drink 80 plus ounces of water daily. So if this is my Thanksgiving Day plan, I know that now these days I don't drink alcohol. So for me, one of my non-negotiables that would be very clear here is alcohol. No alcohol. There will be no alcohol for me on Thanksgiving. I am not interested in it. It has no part in my life anymore. Other people will be drinking, but I will not. But there may have been a time when I would indulge in a cocktail with the family or a glass of champagne or whatever. And if that's the case, then maybe I would consider that as I write my always column. And I would say, if let's say the alcohol made its way into the conditionals and I decided to allow 2 alcoholic beverages on my holiday, I am committing to still drinking my 80 ounces of water, which is 4 of these, by the way. This is about 20 ounces. So 4 of these in a day. That would be a part of my plan so that, number one, it's going to help me achieve that goal of either not drinking alcohol or keeping some conditions around the alcohol that I drink. For instance, when I did still drink alcohol, if I was taking a sip of a cocktail, I'd also take a sip of water before I take another sip of the cocktail. So keeping up with my water as an always was a way that I stayed hydrated. It would also help me feel better after drinking alcohol so that I would not get the effects of headaches and those hungover feelings and things like that. So I think water is a great one to put on the always column, that I will stay hydrated. Another thing for me is that I will hit my protein target. So I am not going to allow myself to indulge in other things and then barely eat any protein. That is a thing that happens, that used to happen a lot for me on holidays where, oh, there's leftover this, there's leftover that. And especially when they are baked goods and things, then all of a sudden I'd be starting my day with baked goods and then all day it's snacking on things and not actually eating real food and eating real meals. And then all of a sudden, if I were to track my macros on that day, which we'll talk about in a moment, I would probably find that I barely ate any protein and I ate a whole bunch of carbs and fat. And if y'all have been around this channel for very long, you would know that is a recipe for packing on body fat quickly. Not eating protein, eating too much carbs and fat. That is a broken seesaw. And that is what creates fat gain. So, all right, Let's see. Anybody else have anything that you would typically put in the always column? What do you make sure you do? You could put non-food things on here, like take a walk after meals. Or maybe you have a step count goal, or maybe you're going to do your training. Could be get all my training sessions in this week, right? If you're just making this plan, let's say for the week of Thanksgiving, for example, that could be something you put on your always column. These are the things you are committing to do no matter what. Let's see. I could put on here, get to bed by 11 p.m., let's say. These are, I'll probably create this plan for myself, actually, since I am going to visit my family. We do tend to have late nights watching movies, and sometimes it gets incredibly late, and then my sleep gets impacted. So I would absolutely want to put something in one of these areas. Maybe it would be in a conditional. My mom loves to stay up late and watch movies. And when I'm there with her, and I know I have a short period of time to be down there with her, I may make that exception a couple of times. So then that would end up in the conditionals. And I might say, 2 times per week, late night movie with mom. Right? So now I'm building in a conditional there. All right. Amanda says, always have a plan when eating out. Yes. Okay. So I would make that even clearer and say, okay, well, what is that plan then? What is the plan for eating out? And then you can put that on here. Especially if there's something you always do when you do dine out. Like always review the menu in advance. Or always ask for no seed oils to be cooked on the food, something like that, as specific as you can get. All right, so I think the always is pretty clear. These are things that you want to make sure you do no matter what, and that you feel confident you will do no matter what. And then the nevers. Well, actually unrestricted. Let's do unrestricted first. What foods, drinks, or food behaviors or other behaviors will you permit yourself to have without restriction? I don't have a lot here because for myself as a professional bodybuilder, there's really not a time that in my life anymore where I just allow anything in any amount, no matter what, completely unrestricted. It's just not the way I live my life. It's actually a core value of mine that I don't want to allow that. It sounds like freedom to many people, but I don't think unrestricted equals freedom. That doesn't equal freedom to me. Freedom to me is the freedom in the moment to be present with myself and make that decision of stopping because I'm full and I don't need to finish the rest of the plate just because that ribeye was really good and I want more bites because it tasted good. So it's unrestricted as long as it's ribeye. That doesn't live in my world. So for me, I probably would not put anything in the unrestricted, maybe water, but I also don't think I'm not concerned about overdoing it on water. So I don't know. I suppose water. I suppose I could put water on there. But yeah, I don't think I would put anything in unrestricted. Or I could say that everything is unrestricted because I choose, if you want to consider it like that. So y'all tell me if you have anything that comes to mind for you with unrestricted. I don't know if I ever used that before. I would say coffee, but these days I'm actually limiting that. But I don't really need to put a boundary around it. That's just something that I'm being cognizant of. So there we go. Water would be my unrestricted. Okay, so nevers. Nevers, these are the non-negotiables. These are the things. This is where you need to draw your line in the sand. And this is going to be very individual to the person. This is where I say I don't want you sticking to just some arbitrary food rules that somebody else made up. This is where the celiac might have different things in this column than somebody who's allergic to something, or somebody who has a chronic condition and needs to be concerned about particular foods and things of that nature. For me, I would put, there are some things that are non-negotiables for me. That is dairy. Now, depending on the holiday and depending on the situation, I might put certain dairy items in a conditional column. Now, I am recovering from a sinus infection. There is no way in hell I am putting anything that has any traces of dairy into my system right now. And I probably will not until the new year, sometime in the new year. So I'm going to put no dairy. If it has dairy, it's out for me. No grains. Those are a couple of places where I draw the line. It's not worth it to me. Grains, whether gluten or non-gluten, to me are no bueno. My gut doesn't like it. My body doesn't like it. My head doesn't like it. I have symptoms afterwards. I do not feel well. Doesn't sit well with me. I have no interest. I have no desire. I have other options. So dairy, grains, alcohol, those are big no's for me. Now, I'm not going to put sugar in this column, for example, because there may be sweet things that don't have dairy and don't have grains that do have some amount of sugar in them, and that would go on my conditionals. So I only put in the never, in the non-negotiable, things that 100% I am confident I will not be touching. Okay. Now, I'm not a strict carnivore. I don't have reasons to be strict carnivore. I'm pretty much ketovore. But I even flex in and out of keto with higher and lower carbs, depending, but it's usually with all very clean, real foods. So for me, my food plan would look different than Karen's, for example, or anybody who is really more committed to meat only lifestyle, or mostly meat only with very, very few additional extras. So let's see. So conditionals is really where we get nitty gritty with the holiday stuff. I'll tell you, there will be no vegetables on my conditionals because I don't have any interest in vegetables. If there was a side that I knew would be something I might want, then maybe I would put that in there. But I'm not going to say, green veggies, because I'm not really interested in having them. So some things might not make it onto my plan at all because it's just not even something I'm going to think about. These days I pretty much don't even need to write the plan because it's just in my mind all the time. But let's see. Conditionals is the key, especially for holidays, because holidays is where this limbic brain decides it wants to make all of these justifications for things that truly do not align with the way we are trying to live. And depending on the special occasion, depending on the situation, depending on the particular food, this is where it's so valuable to decide ahead of time what really matters to you, so that you're not in a situation, like I said, with heightened emotions, with smells that smell amazing, with temptations all around, with people pressuring you, and now you're trying to make a decision that you did not consider in advance. So while you can't, maybe depending on the person, many of us already know what we can expect with where we are going to be for a particular holiday. But let's say you have no idea, you can't estimate every single potential temptation that might be in front of you, but consider what's important to you. This is where I would start with what's important to you. And I saw a video the other day that I thought was brilliant. It was by Dr. Tony Hampton. I really love a lot of the stuff that he puts out and the way he explains things. It is so logical, such great common sense. He doesn't do a lot of the sensationalism that everybody else does. But he was talking about his tips for the holidays, for navigating the holidays. And he had a green light, yellow light, red light system for determining, where you are and why you've chosen your way of eating. And, particularly if, let's say, you're diabetic or pre-diabetic and you're concerned about your blood sugar and you need to be concerned about your blood sugar, you're going to have certain things that weigh more heavily for you than somebody else. So this is where the rubber hits the road. What are your conditionals going to be? For those who have set some of your conditionals, either already for Thanksgiving or something you've done in the past, drop me a comment and let me know what you have put on your conditionals. Let's see, what would I put on my conditionals? I'm thinking about Thanksgiving in particular. Like I said, I'm going to allow some late night movie nights. Food-wise, though. Typically, I might put, let's say sweet potatoes. Let's say sweet potatoes. Let's say if I want to have mashed sweet potatoes without dairy, with Thanksgiving dinner. Meaning, it's not going to be mashed sweet potatoes all day for 5 days in a row. It is, if I'm choosing that this is going to be a part of my Thanksgiving dinner, then I'm going to have mashed sweet potatoes with my Thanksgiving dinner. Boom. That might be it, right? Now, here's something where I know some of our ladies were asking questions about macros, right? Let's say you just joined a program like the KBA and you now have macros assigned to you from a coach, which is a recommendation for macronutrient targets to hit to reach your goals. You have a protein macro, you have a carb macro, and you have a fat macro. And your carb macro is set low because you're in a keto program. You're trying to stay keto. That is your goal. And you want to keep your carbs limited to 50 grams or less, or 30 grams or less, or wherever your carbs are. That's why you might put something like this in a conditional and say mashed sweet potatoes with dinner, knowing that it may throw your carbs off. Maybe you would put in your conditionals untracked macros for Thanksgiving Day, meaning you're eating without tracking. You're going to let yourself not track on that day. Now, I'm a firm believer that the reason why we track when we have goals is because when we're not tracking, it is much more easy to let things in that you wouldn't let in if you had to track it, if you were planning to track it for your coach to see. So keeping that in mind, this is something you could decide for yourself. What is more important? On this particular holiday, is this a holiday where I would rather be present with people and not pulling my scale out and not having to explain myself to people about why I'm weighing all my food? But I'm committing because I am not tracking to have conscious awareness of my portion sizes. So by putting this in the conditional, you are committing to not letting yourself go crazy just because you're not tracking it. Not letting yourself get 4 scoops of mashed potatoes on that plate because you're not tracking it. But being, and you can make it even more specific than that. You could say mashed 1 serving or large serving spoon, let's say, of mashed potatoes with Thanksgiving dinner. So now you've put even more conditional on it. So when you want to go back for that second because it tasted really good, ding, 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 your prefrontal cortex will pop up and say, wait a minute, we had a plan. We said 1 scoop. And maybe that allows you to get 1 extra large scoop, but it was 1 scoop. So when you go to put your hand back in and get another scoop, you're aware of that because you made a very specific, detailed plan. This is what I love about this process. It brings it into that conscious awareness. So you could decide to track or to not track. Typically, I will say, when I go visit my family, I have a scale there at their house. If it's not a really tricky type of event to track, let's say it was all hors d'oeuvres or something, and it's a whole bunch of little things, maybe I would choose not to track, but other times maybe I would. For instance, last year, was it last year? Last year I competed before Thanksgiving, but there was a few years back where I competed the week after Thanksgiving. Mary Grace and Becky will be competing the week after Thanksgiving. I guarantee they are going to be weighing and tracking everything they eat on Thanksgiving Day. Why? Because we are in peak week. We're 2 weeks out right now. So come Thursday, they're going to be 10 days out, 9 days out. And we are testing peaking strategies. So now is not the time to have an untracked day and to let things fall wherever they fall, because they have a very specific goal at a very specific deadline. Maybe this year, because I'm not competing, I'll decide not to track on Thanksgiving Day. I haven't decided yet what I want to do there. But the key there is the conscious awareness. Are we choosing not to track so we can let ourselves off the hook and know that we're really eating way too much? Because we're just going to allow ourselves more because nobody's going to see it. This is where we have to get honest with ourselves. Right? What's behind? Once again, why? Why am I putting this boundary in there? Always go back to that. Oh, Rhonda says, I brought a travel body weight scale with me on my last cruise in November, and for the first time, I lost weight. Go, Rhonda. I know how big that is because I know we've talked about so many of your cruises before. That is huge. I'm telling y'all, this tracking, whether it's tracking our body weight, tracking our body composition, tracking our food, that tracking, it's a way of holding ourselves more accountable. And when we're holding ourselves accountable, whether it's to ourselves or someone else, those decisions, those present moment choices, conscious awareness decisions, we can be more true to ourselves and more honest with ourselves. I love it. That could be a part of this plan somewhere too. You could say, I always weigh in every morning. Right? That's what I'll be doing at my parents' house. I've got a scale there. I've got a body weight scale there and a food scale there. I will be weighing in the morning, no matter what. So that's another little way of holding myself accountable. It's interesting because early on in my journey, I probably would have had a lot more in the nevers non-negotiable column. And now I have a lot more in the always column because now it's just my lifestyle. This is just what I do. This is what I always do. So I don't have to think very hard about, oh, what do I need to make a non-negotiable, or what do I need to make a conditional? Let's see. Bronson, do you have a conditional for Thanksgiving?
Conditional?
Yes.
Define conditional.
What foods?
I either decide I'm going to do it or not.
Foods, drinks, or behaviors that you will permit only at certain times in certain amounts and or restricted by other conditions. Like on Thanksgiving, I will have pumpkin pie.
I'll have pumpkin pie and cheesecake.
That's where I was going with it. I'm like, I know that for Bronson, if there's pumpkin pie and there's cheesecake, he allows himself pumpkin pie and cheesecake on Thanksgiving. That would be a conditional if he were going to write that down in a plan.
Not always, but most of the time. There have been holidays where I'm just like, you know what?
You know what? I love that though, because this is the difference. Say that again. What did you just say?
Not always, but most of the time.
So
there have been times where I'm just kind of like,
you don't really want it. You don't really care, right? So this is why the conditionals and the always are two different columns. He did not say, I will always have pumpkin pie and cheesecake every Thanksgiving. It's not going in the always column. So just because you decide that you want to make an allowance for something, you still do not have to do it on that day. I had this conversation with my massage therapist. I was telling Bronson the other day, I challenged her because she said to me as I walked into my session, I already know I'm going to eat like crap on Thanksgiving. And I said, why? You don't have to. So consider, am I just giving myself full permission to go off the rails just because? And then do I feel, it sounds silly to say this, but it's real for so many people.
Well, you know what else?
Do you feel almost obligated to overeat on Thanksgiving because that's what people do?
Yes.
It's the big pants holiday.
It's
It's what you've always done. It's what everybody else does.
And even on this journey, this is something I was just thinking about. Just because I did it last time doesn't mean I have to do it this time.
Okay, you got to turn the water off and you've got to say that again louder. Or
Just
come on
because
over
I
here.
did it last time doesn't mean I have to do it this time.
Sorry, y'all. I've got something in my eye over here. I just got new fresh lashes. I think one of them is poking down. Just because you did it last time doesn't mean you have to do it this time. And just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean you need to do it too. So ultimately, after you've made your plan, and hopefully that was helpful, what I'll do is I will actually drop the link to this document in the description below, so you can grab the food template and you can make it your own. Note that this is a master document. It is a template, so you cannot edit this direct document. So if you do click on the link, you're going to have to click. Let me show you actually here. Let me show the screen again. Where is it? Share screen. Okay, so if you are not very familiar with Google Docs, if you go up here to File, make a copy, now you can name it whatever you want to name it, and you can save it on your own drive. Once you make that copy, then you'll be able to edit it, but you're not going to be able to edit the main document. The other option would be to go to File and Download. Then you can download it as an Excel or a PDF or however you want to download it to your computer. So check it out, use it, come back, drop a comment, let me know how it went for you. If you're in the academy and you want to chat through this on the Zoom call, we can talk about it this weekend on our Zoom call. Granted, that'll be after Thanksgiving. So if you want to get some support around this, then drop a comment in one of the forums and we can chat about it before Thursday. Okay, I'm going to now I'm going to take that off the screen again. All right. So ultimately, what I want to leave you with is this. Oh, wait, before we move on, I want to talk about the social stuff too. But just because you create allowances for things, as Bronson was saying, doesn't mean you have to have it. So in advance, and this is how I counsel a lot of my clients who are going on vacation or having a birthday celebration, whatever it might be, you might decide, I'm going to allow myself to have the sweet potato pie or the sweet potatoes or the whatever dessert on Thanksgiving. And maybe you've made that decision and you put it in your conditionals. If the day comes and in the moment you ate too much at dinner and you are too full, honor yourself in that moment and make a present moment choice to not have that dessert. You don't have to stuff yourself just because you said you were going to allow the dessert. And here's a key that I see so much, this all or nothing thinking. I have a whole masterclass on ending the all or nothing mentality, but it is what is screwing up so many of your journey on keto. You went keto because you couldn't moderate. And you're all in or you're all out. And the moment you have a taste of something, or you decide that you're going to have a taste of something, because you said you were going to have it and you're only allowing it on this one day, this is the only time I'm going to ever get to have it again in my life. And then I have to go back to keto and I have to be so strict tomorrow. So this is my only opportunity. So I'm too stuffed. I'm so uncomfortably stuffed from dinner, but I'm going to eat dessert anyway because I said I would allow it today. You do not have to have it just because you said you would allow it. In many cases, for many of you, there will be leftovers the next day. And then you can make a decision about, okay, I chose not to have it on Thanksgiving. If it's still there and I still want it the next day and I'm now not too stuffed to have it, then I will allow one slice of that or one cookie or whatever it may be. And for many of you, if you are still at that place where you cannot moderate, you're not yet in the situation that you have proven to yourself that you can successfully have one cookie or one slice of pie, then for you, those things are likely on your non-negotiable list, and that is completely okay as well. You don't have to try to moderate because other people are. So at the end of the day, remember, you own the plan. The only thing I would ask is that you do not change the plan in an emotional moment. Meaning, I said this was a non-negotiable, but ooh, that looks really tasty. Oh, everybody else is enjoying it. I want some too. I should allow myself, I'm too restrictive. Oh, I'm way too strict with myself all the time. I deserve, okay, I'm going to have the cookie. One of the things Glenn Livingston recommends in his book, says, I believe he says it straight up, don't change the plan. You give yourself a night to sleep on it before you change the plan. That's the point of writing the plan in advance. I don't get to change the plan in the moment. If I think that if I truly do believe that this is too restrictive and that this was not a good plan and that I should have done something different, then I can revisit it tomorrow. And yes, that means that if you're at Thanksgiving and there is something you really want and that was a non-negotiable for you, you don't get to have it right now because you made the choice. You made the decision in advance for a reason. So go back to, why did I make that choice at that point in time? You may have feelings of, I've had these feelings before, well, what if everybody else eats it and then there's no more tomorrow? Yeah, what if? Is it the end of the world if you didn't get to taste a particular dessert? You're not going to die. The world is not going to end because you didn't get to have some. It's really not that serious. It was just that in the moment, You were caught up in the situation or caught up in the emotion or the desire for it or the craving, the temptation, and you wanted to go rogue. But by making the plan in advance, taking that conscious awareness and making that commitment to being aware in the moment, you are telling yourself, I'm choosing this for myself for a reason. So I want to leave you with this, and then we can talk a little bit about the social piece. The question to guide all of your decisions, the decisions that for what to put on your plan, and then the choices on the day of at the event that align with the plan. Okay, the decision is made in advance. You're not deciding again whether or not you're going to have chocolate. You already either put it on a conditional or you put it on a non-negotiable. You put it on the plan or you didn't. So in the moment, it's no longer time to decide on anything. It is a choice that either aligns or does not align with the decision that you already made. You decided once. Then your choices now need to align with the decisions. So the question to guide all your decisions and all your choices: will I be proud of myself for how I handled this tomorrow? Or will I regret how I handled this tomorrow? In any moment, no matter what happened the moment prior, you can choose to act in a way that makes tomorrow you proud. Or you can choose to act in a way that makes tomorrow you regretful or ashamed or, God forbid, sick, physically or otherwise. So keep tomorrow you in mind. Stay present in the moment and think about what is going to make tomorrow you proud or regretful. Will I regret this tomorrow? Or will I be proud of myself tomorrow for how I behaved today? The way we eat is behavior. Okay, eating behaviors and then social behaviors. You can apply all of this. You can do the same thing with this plan for your social interactions. I'm not going to dive as deep as I thought into that piece because we're already almost at an hour and a half. But the social plan, because really this is most of the time what's going to derail you or not. Identify the challenging situations and conversations in advance. Just like we did with, you probably already did if you did it with the food plan. If you already did that part, what could throw me off plan? It's usually the people, right? So think about the difficult conversations, situations before that maybe you haven't been proud of how you handled it. Or, you ended up in an argument or things ended up poorly between yourself and another family member. Consider how you've responded to them in the past and how you would like to respond in the future. Because we cannot do anything to influence. We can influence. We cannot do anything to control how other people act, what other people say, how other people respond to us. We can only control our own words, actions, and responses. So, identify any potentially challenging situations or conversations. Consider how you have responded in the past, what went well or did not go well, how you would like to respond in the future. And you can think back to a time where things didn't go well. And okay, how could I have maybe done anything differently to influence the outcome of that relationship? Rehearse those scenarios in your mind. How could it go? If it were to go well or if it were to go sideways, what are ways in which you can act in a way that makes it more likely to go well? And we just had some of this conversation and feedback inside the academy about, if people have critical things to say about the way you eat. or how much you're eating, or your body. If they say something about your body, right? I want you to consider. And y'all, if you're into ChatGPT, this is a great opportunity to use ChatGPT to let them know, hey, here's a situation that I might be in. How could I respond positively or in a way that will drive the kind of outcome that I want if this family member says this thing to me like they have in the past? And ChatGPT will literally give you prompts for things that you can say in that situation. I'll give you a list. And as you read through those things, see what resonates for you. That's a great way to use chat if you're into ChatGPT. Hey, how could I react in this situation? All right. And if you're not into ChatGPT, just use Google, because they got their own AI version too. You'll get a whole bunch of options there too. Hey, Gabby, good to see you here. Yeah, yes, indeed, it's Coach Nat time. And Lori shared, let's see, I always host Thanksgiving. I'm so busy getting everything ready so I don't go overboard. We do Beefsgiving on Friday, brisket for the win. I love it. Yum. I want to come over for brisket. I think Becky said she's doing brisket too. All right, ladies, anybody have any thoughts or questions, anything to add before we pop off tonight? If you do use this food plan, please do let me know how it goes for you. I hope it helps. I hope that this has been helpful as you plan your holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate. Use this plan any time of year, really. Even if you just want to do it week by week, what's coming up that could get in my way? What are my conditionals? You can create, and really the way Glenn Livingston lays it out is just making the plan for yourself for life, right? This is your plan for how you eat. So you could just make a general one for yourself, and then you can make specific ones for particular events, holidays, situations, seasons of life, things of that nature. So mine changed slightly based on where I am in my athletic season, if I'm competing or not competing. And then I might, make one, but I rarely use the actual template. I usually just give it some thought in advance, and then commit more than anything else, like I said, to being present, being aware and being present in the moment, so that in those moments on that day, you have a filter in your mind for why you're making the choices that you're making. Is this aligning with my goals? Does it align with who I want to be? Does this align with my values, with the way I live my life, with what I choose to put in my body, with how I choose to treat myself? Does this align? We need to get in the habit of just asking ourselves that on a regular basis until we are taking those steps to create that life and to live that way just as a part of our life. That's why I don't even need to use a plan like this anymore, because it's just so ingrained that, like I said, most of mine are now in my always column because they're just things that I do. So let's see. Wow, Juliana's curing a halal beef brisket to make beef bacon. Wow. Okay, that is a lot. You're always doing some intense thing. So I'm sure you'll let us know how that goes. Good luck with that. We're doing a pretty traditional Thanksgiving. We do our big turkey. They'll have all kinds of sides. I probably will not be indulging in any of the sides unless I make a dairy-free sweet potato. So that plan that I shared earlier is very similar for me. It's usually going to be turkey and sweet potatoes for me. And then I might be baking something. I have not decided yet, but I got to make a decision because I'm flying down tomorrow. So I have a whole bunch of baking stuff here, and I just don't know if I want to bring it all with me or any of it with me. So if I do bake anything to share, it'll be something super simple. But my family has a very different palate than I do. So if I bake anything, I might just bake something for myself because I don't know if they'll really enjoy it the way that I would. So we'll see. I don't think I'll be doing the pumpkin cheesecake that I did last year. That was kind of involved. But I don't know. I think I'll be bringing a whole bunch of Equip protein powder down with me. So I might just come up with something at the last minute. If nothing else, I will probably make myself a protein ice cream. They do not have a creamy, but a good old-fashioned blender will work just as well for anybody who's ever made the old school protein ice cream. Just throw it in a blender, it'll work just fine. All right, ladies, that's all I got for you tonight. Good luck this holiday season. Keep me posted and let me know how it goes for you. Happy Thanksgiving. I am thankful for all of you in my community. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. All my love to you all. Good night.